The question is just how many dollars are you going to have left once the dust settles on this, because it's still a significant commitment to J.J. Watt in a year when the cap's going down. That's the other side of it. The cap's going down. J.J. Watt got $15.5 million over 2 years. Oh, and by the way, they still have Kyler Murray on a rookie deal. Now is the time to splurge if you're going to splurge.
Sure.
Because at some point you're going to have to pay Kyler Murray so much money, it's going to be harder to splurge.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. And, listen, J.J. Watt, he is J.J. Watt. He does have value on the field. He's a polarizing figure, as far as people are going to buy jerseys. That's 99 Arizona Cardinals. They're going to do that.
If it's 99.
If there's 99 available, you're right.
It's been retired.
So he's
Marshall Goldberg.
So he's
Thanks for reading PFT.
Okay, I didn't read that one. But yeah, so there is that aspect of it, certainly. But I will say I'm still, shocked by the price tag a little bit. I'm not going to lie. I mean, again, if I were a GM, I don't know if I could have thrown that kind of money out at J.J. Watt. And I don't mean that to be disrespectful to J.J. Watt. But I know he's missed maybe 32 out of the last 80 games. It's 26.5 sacks over the last 5 years. And something I talked about on my podcast a little yesterday, Mike, is, I mean, if you look at other players that are comparable to that, like I look at a guy like Calais Campbell, who has a kind of the same type of position J.J. Watt is. Versatile. Can play defensive tackle, can play defensive end, can do them both. He's been hurt a lot less and has much more sack production than J.J. Watt, and he's making $12 million a year. So I think that's where I was surprised by the price tag overall. But I will say this, too. We see like the last 2 years, it's 9 sacks total, right? And I know he missed 8 games in 2019. One thing you have to take into account with the sacks always, right? We know that it can be an overrated stat, and we like the F the play up, right? That really tells you more about him, and he's pretty damn good at effing plays up still. You got to remember, too, with the Houston Texans, I mean, geez, the last few years, you might have been able to go out there and throw for 50% in an NFL game against that secondary. So quarterbacks didn't have to hold the ball a whole lot or real long against the Houston Texans the last few years, too. So you do have to take that aspect, I think, into the totality of what he is at this point, too. And I'm excited to see him in red and see what he can do.
It's a projection.
Right.
It's definitely a projection.
Right.
It's a leap of faith. And I still refuse to accept as 100% truthful the reports on the numbers. I've seen this sausage get made enough times. The saying, the truth, or I screwed it up before I even got it out.
Boo! The sausage is already messed up. Nobody cares now.
I almost, you know what? I almost said something I shouldn't have said after I realized I screwed it up.
10 o'clock in England.
A lie gets halfway around the world before the truth gets its pants on. That's what I was trying to say. When it comes to these NFL contracts, the lie does the full traversing of the globe, and the truth never gets acknowledged.
Right.
That's what happens.
Right.
So, these numbers, and the smart agents know how to keep these numbers under wraps for a few days. So by the time they come out, everybody's moved on to something else. Nobody cares anymore. It's just the way it works.
Yeah.
But I'm going to be very curious to see the structure, the true guarantee, and is it really 2 years, $31 million, or is it? And I don't know this, but I've seen this before. This is why I'm skeptical. Is it 2 years, $26 million with $5 million in easily reachable incentives,
right,
or per game roster bonuses, which I would want in there
if he's healthy,
to protect myself if he can't play.
Right.
$500,000 a year in per game roster bonuses, little things like that chip it down into something that isn't between 15 and 16 million. There's a lot of lying that goes on in this business, and one of the things we try to do, which makes me even more unpopular than I otherwise would be, we try to smoke it out and let people know the truth. It just bothers me when BS gets thrown around and reporters just who want to fill a quote and impress their bosses will just pass along whatever BS lands in their lap without scrutiny. That bugs me. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see if the BS that got passed around yesterday is true BS or fake BS.
Yeah, you're right. We will see. And, I had the same thoughts as you as well. Was it, really, okay, 23 guaranteed with a little bit more on top of that, and then you're right, you got to do something on the field or stay healthy to get the rest of it. Either way, it's a big-time move for him. I wasn't expecting to hear Arizona Cardinals. That's the one thing I'll say. I really was not. I really thought, at the end of the day, we were going to hear Tennessee Titans or Green Bay Packers. That, to me, was what I was expecting to hear. I thought maybe he'd go back with Vrabel and look at that team and go, ooh, they're pretty close. Or he'd go, hey, I grew up in Wisconsin, and just about every kid wants to go home and play for the Green Bay Packers when you grow up in Wisconsin, and they got Aaron Rodgers. I really expected it to be one of those two, so I was shocked when I saw that news come across.
Plays the Packers this year.
Wow.
Plays the Titans this year. Plays the Texans this year. Goes back to Texas this year against the Cowboys. And if the 17th game formula and approach that Peter King laid out yesterday in Football Morning in America holds, Cardinals at Browns this year.
Wow.
Another team that was closely linked to J.J. Watt. So, and then there's the two games against the Rams, Seahawks, and 49ers as well. The Cardinals games got a lot sexier with the presence of J.J. Watt. And as the NFL moves toward announcing the schedule, which will be here before we know it, mid to late April before the draft. That's how they usually do it. They made an exception last year because of the pandemic, but whenever we get that schedule, those Cardinals games, a lot more enticing than they were before J.J. Watt joined the team.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.